So I have some clients right now who are in the process of buying a home in Boise, and I think their transaction reveals some fascinating things about where we are in the Boise real estate market. So in this video, I want to share with you 8 things that you can learn from this deal about the current state of the Boise housing market. So the first thing that you can learn from this deal is that number 1, buyers feel like they can get a deal in this housing market. The house that they're buying is in West Boise. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,650 square foot home built in 1969 and sits on a little more than a quarter of an acre. It was listed at $429,000. We offered them $400,000 and asked for a $5,000 credit for the buyer at closing. They countered at $420,000. We countered again at $405,000, and they agreed on the condition that we wouldn't nickel and dime them on the inspection. So buyers right now definitely feel like they have the cards in their hands. And honestly, I'm kind of glad. As somebody who works with a lot of buyers, I'm kind of happy that my clients finally are able to get some things. A year and a half ago, 2 years ago, sellers were just getting greedy and were pretty rude. I mean, they would, if there was a first-time home buyer, they would give them a full price offer, and the seller would just look at it and say, "Ha! Just asking price? Are you kidding? What? You want an inspection? What's the matter with you?" We're not in that situation now, thank goodness. And buyers can finally ask for things. Buyers can ask for a credit at closing to help buy down the rate. Or what about a long close? Maybe you need to sell your house beforehand. Can you take a contingent offer? And how about you throw in the fridge? And you know what? I actually like that ninja course in the backyard. So why don't you go ahead and throw that in for good measure? Now, obviously, it's going to depend on the seller if they want to include those things. But at this point, buyers feel like they can at least ask for some things. Whereas a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, that was totally out of the question. Number 2, buyers are taking their time to shop. We first saw this house on a Saturday. We went out for most of the day and saw it with about 6 other homes that day. On Monday, we went out and looked at 5 more homes. On Thursday of that week, my clients called me up and they said that they think they want to make an offer on this house. So we scheduled an appointment for that next Friday night. At that point, they knew that they wanted to make an offer. So instead of staying up late at night, we said, let's just do it in the morning. So I woke up, had my coffee, took my sweet time, wrote the offer. By the time we got everything signed and handed in to the agent, it was about noon on Saturday. We kind of countered back and forth for a couple days and finally got in contract on the property on Monday, about a week and a half after we first saw the property. So quite a difference from where we were about a year ago. About a year ago, I would have stayed up into the wee hours of the night writing the contract in order to get it into the agent that first day when we first saw the home. 3, homes that have been on the market for a long time don't necessarily have anything wrong with them. The house that my clients are purchasing had been on the market for 60 days before we even came along and first saw the home. And by the time that they will close on it, it will have been on the market for 3 months and a week. So homes are just taking longer to sell. Right now, a house that has been on the market for 60 days, 90 days, doesn't necessarily have anything wrong with it. My clients had an inspection on their home. Nothing major came up. In fact, we didn't even ask for anything for them to do anything, to repair anything. So the houses that have been on the market do not necessarily have the stigma that they did a year ago when we were used to homes selling over the weekend. Number 4, it was especially evident to me this time around that homes for sale in the Treasure Valley really need to be very clean and very well cared for in order for buyers to take an interest in them. Gone are the days when you can just put a dumpy house on the market, forget about cleaning it, forget about vacuuming, just put a sign up and it'll sell in about 3 hours. If you walk into a dumpy home now, you're probably just gonna walk out. And in fact, that's what I did with my clients. We went into several dumpy homes. I remember one in particular. It was totally dirty. There was grease on the wall. They hadn't cleaned the bathroom. The carpets weren't vacuumed. And we just walked out. We didn't even think twice about it because there were enough homes on the market for us to consider aside from that one. Here's what I would do if I was selling my house right now in the Boise housing market on October 6th, 2022. And in fact, this is what I just told my clients the other day who are getting ready to list their home with me. Number one, I would make sure that my yard is totally taken care of, that it's mowed, that the edging is cut, all of the trees are trimmed, there's nice flowers there to add some color. Everything is spick and span, ship shape, I don't know if that's a thing, in top shape in your yard so that it looks very sharp right as you pull up to it. Inside, make sure all of your walls are painted. Make sure there's no smudges everywhere. Touch up the baseboards. Everything needs to be painted. And then this is a big one. Make sure that you have good lighting in your house. Check every single light bulb in the house and replace the ones that don't use and match the color of the light bulbs. Make sure that the right colors are in the right rooms. You're going to get a different colored light bulb in your bedroom than you are in your laundry room. And also, I would pick up a couple of $20 halogen lights at Walmart and throw them up throughout the house to make the house look really light and bright and vibrant. And then I would also buy a few plants. I'd put some plants right at the entrance, a nice big flower. I'd put a couple green plants throughout the house, in the bathroom, in the kitchen, just to make it look like it has life. There's two things that people do in life that they shouldn't do. Number one, they judge a cover by the book. All of us do that, but we shouldn't. And number two, people buy homes based on their feelings. I don't know how many times I've been into homes with clients who walk in and they say, just the house just didn't feel right for me. Do everything to make your house feel like the right house for the potential buyer that is going to walk into the house. The fifth thing that again was really evident to me is that a home for sale in Boise needs to be the best priced home in its category for buyers to take an interest in it right now. Homes are still selling in Boise. I have deals going on right now, but we certainly have more supply now than we have had in the past. In August, I think we had 2.8 months of inventory, which is more inventory than we've had for the past several years. So there's plenty of other homes on the market for buyers to consider aside from your house. So if it's overpriced, people are going to buy the other ones. So listen to your realtor. I was just talking to a colleague of mine a few weeks ago, and she was telling me that she has a listing where the seller doesn't want to listen to her. The seller thinks that their house is worth X amount of money, but that's not what the market is saying right now. And so the seller simply does not want to listen to the advice of the realtor, and it's been sitting on the market without any action for several weeks, and I think probably several months now. And here's a power tip in case you're watching and you're thinking of listing your home. Don't think about what you could have gotten for your house 6 months ago. Think about how much you'll get now and compare that to how much you bought your house for. Could means nothing. My Apple stock 6 months ago was worth about 20% more than it is today, but that means nothing because I didn't sell back then. And also, everybody has a timeline. Everybody has a life. Everybody has responsibilities, and there's probably a number of really good reasons that you didn't sell your house 6 months ago. But that's okay. That's just the way things go. Think about how much you'll make now compared to how much you bought it, and then also think about how much you'll make on your house compared to how much you would make if you had been renting the entire time that you have owned your house. Number 6, homes for sale in Boise right now need to have something unique about them for buyers to take an interest in them. The more houses there are on the market, the more choices people have aside from the one that you're selling. So that's what my clients were continually thinking. What is unique about this particular home? And if you're selling your house, you can think about, well, are you selling a hot tub? Maybe you can include that in the sale. Or what's the yard like? Let's make the yard unique. Or can you offer an incentive? Can you offer a credit at closing? Or maybe a long close, a refrigerator, washer, dryer? All of these things are going to be considerations that buyers are looking at when thinking about whether or not they want to buy this particular home. The 7th thing that is very evident to me in this transaction is that interest rates right now are very volatile. Since my client started looking for a home, the interest rate has actually fluctuated a full 1.1%, and that's in a total of about 3 weeks. The lowest that it was during that period of time was 5.98%. It went up to 7.08%, back down to 6.75%, up to 6.9%. So it fluctuated on a daily basis. I remember looking at it one day a few weeks ago. It had gone up a half of a percentage point in one day. Now, let me just say this. 7% right now doesn't sound very good. And honestly, compared to 2.75%, it's not that good. But just put it into perspective. If you take the average of the interest rate throughout the entire time that they have started to measure the interest rate, the average since the early 1970s is 7.77%. So we're still below the historic average of the mortgage interest rate throughout the past 50 or 60 years. And then number 8, and this is especially important if you are about to buy a home right now, lenders are also giving deals. A quick close is not really the selling point for a lender right now. A lot of the homes have been on the market for 30 days, 35 days, and so they probably would go for a longer close if you needed one, or even just a standard 30-day escrow, which pretty much any lender can accommodate right now. Now, in addition to looking at what interest rate a particular lender can give you, you also need to look for these two things. Number 1, does the lender have a loan origination fee? And if so, how much is that? That can be up to 1.5% of the loan. So it could be $4,000, depending on the size of the loan. Or number 2, is the lender offering a promo of some sort? Is the lender maybe offering a credit at closing? Or is the lender offering to pay for an appraisal? Now, let me say this. Real estate agents get nothing from the lender. In 1974, an act was passed by Congress called the RESPA Act, the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act, which prohibits real estate agents from getting a, quote, thing of value for referring business to a mortgage company or a title company. I don't get any kind of kickbacks from the title officers or from the title companies or from any mortgage company. If I did, I would go to jail. So ultimately, I don't really care which lender you use, but as your real estate agent, if you're my buyer, I want you to get the best deal. So my clients, in this particular case, they were looking at several lenders, and I knew that a particular lender was offering a promo. And so I told them, I said, listen, I don't get any kind of a kickback from any particular lender, but I know that this lender is actually offering a really nice promo. You should check them out. And they ended up going with them. Their loan origination fee was about $1,500 less than all of the other lenders that they looked at. And this lender was offering to pay for all of the buyers' appraisals through the month of October. So with both of those together, they ended up saving about $2,000 as compared to all of the other lenders that they looked at. So again, listen to your agent. A good agent should have a pulse on what the lenders are currently offering, and your agent's going to be working in your best interest. So the Boise housing market is currently trending downward, but I think the silver lining here is that it's giving buyers a much-needed reprieve from the fierce competition that we've seen here in Boise over the past several years. And as somebody who works a lot with buyers, I'm kind of happy that buyers are getting a bit of a second chance right now. So if you are thinking of moving to Boise, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to chat with you. I'm not going to pressure you to buy a house. I don't work like that. But I'd be more than happy to share my thoughts on what I see is happening here in Boise.